9/11, we remember. 20 years later, the images from that day are indelible, forever etched into our memories.
The vast majority of Americans experienced September 11th through the lens of photojournalists who covered the terrorist attacks.
That was the first time I ever been in that much destruction.
Former 12 News chief photographer Les Breault was one of those journalists arriving in Lower Manhattan just hours after the towers fell.
Target 12 investigator Tim White sat down with Les, who retired 2 years ago, to reflect on his experience in covering September 11th from Lower Manhattan.
In his more than 4 decades as a photojournalist, Les Breault has had a front row seat to history, but no event compares with his assignment on September 11th, 2001. Les Breault was standing in the WPRI newsroom on the morning of 9/11 when the first plane flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center.
The morning meeting was going on. I saw it on one of the screens over the edit booths. No sound, so I just saw a plane hitting.
Les interrupted the meeting. Then at 9:03, the second plane slammed into the South Tower.
Then the news director just turned to me and says, "You're going to New York."
Les Breault and his colleague Walt Buteau quickly packed up and hopped on I-95 South. And unlike most trips to New York,
all the highways were empty. That was another eerie feeling too.
The thicker the soot gets on the car.
When they arrived in New York, one of the first people they interviewed was a woman standing just blocks from Ground Zero.
And she was waiting for her daughter, and that's when it hit, that she was standing there for 5-6 hours waiting for her daughter, and her daughter, trying to call her up and nothing. So, and there was a couple of the women we talked to with the same story. They're just waiting for loved ones.
And I'm going to guess, unfortunately, that you probably don't know the outcome of that woman's story.
No.
The closer you get to Ground Zero...
Gathering the images and interviews was one challenge, but getting that video back to Rhode Island and into the newscast was another. They made their way to CNN, but under tight security, the guard would not let them in to feed the video back to 12 News.
Kept on saying, no, we're shut down, nobody's getting in. And somebody that worked for CNN that used to work for us walked by and saw me.
A former Channel 12 employee working at CNN spots you.
Spots me and comes over and says hello. So I says, we have the video, we shot a story, we have to get it back. And he said, come on up. And that's how we got that 5 and 6 o'clock story on the air.
For nearly a week, they filed story after story, capturing images and interviews that would become a record to history. For those who know Les, who has always been calm, even in breaking news situations, he was the right photojournalist for such an extreme assignment. Everyone here knows how low-key you are, and I do have to wonder if in a situation like that, you have to be particularly gifted at stripping emotion.
Well, you do. Yeah, you can. I mean, you get emotional when you're talking to a mother that just lost their daughter, and they're sitting there 6 hours waiting for a phone call or her to walk out of the rubble. You become a robot, and you just know what you have to do, and you just do it to try to get on the air and get the stories.
Les tells me at the end of the day, when he put the camera down, that's when he could take a moment to acknowledge those emotions and reflect on a personal level what he experienced that day. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, 12 News.